in the first place, what they wanted to be
That also reinforces what he was saying earlier, really going up on all these questions. It reinforces what he was saying earlier about how it's not about changing the voice so you can't recognize who it is, it's about playing the role. Fi and Edward are in almost exactly the same vocal range. You can absolutely tell that the same voice actor plays it, but to me the characters sound completely different because it's coming from a completely different attitude. It's not that I can't listen to Fi and listen to Ed and think those are both the same people. It's that I don't ever watch Tsubasa and think, oh, he's playing Ed. It's just a totally different attitude.
Exactly, it's the attitude. In fact, when we did Oron, Caitlin made the most interesting observation. We were less than an episode into recording, and Caitlin stopped and said, you know what I just thought of? She said, Tamaki is kind of an amalgamation of the three most well-known characters you've done. He's intelligent and articulate, like Fi. And he's got the romantic side, like Dark Mouse. But then he spazzes out all the time, like Ed does. So he was kind of these three different characters. And so the trick was to try to play Tamaki, even though I knew that there will be elements of other characters in there, but play that character. And even in his yelling, when Tamaki flips out, we tried very hard to make sure it didn't go into the Ed range. Mm-hmm. It's so subtle, you guys, but I'll give you an example. When Ed freaks out about being short, it goes up into a higher register. Here, way up high. But when Tamaki freaks out, I keep it down a little low. Keep your hands off my Holly! So it's freaking out, but it doesn't get up in the same area. It's the same person.
Michelle, when he really freaks out, which one does he sound like? When he's really yelling.
When he's really yelling?
Neither.
Yeah, I don't think either, actually.
Oh great, he's shooting this.
Yeah. I don't know, because I'm in the corner crying.
Also, this is such a good question. There are a lot of things that we learn as voice actors about how to do our job. I think in the first months and probably the first year that we ever had it, you have to learn how to take what a director tells you and give them exactly what they want. Like if someone says louder, that doesn't mean 100% louder.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to do things in smaller increments, and you have to learn what your voice does, and you wouldn't know that just by talking with your friends or even doing stage work. That's totally different.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to express to you how we learn it. No, it is about just being very aware the entire time. Anytime I begin a new show or begin working with a director I haven't worked with a lot, I make sure that I'm always paying attention even between takes. Because there are times when you get to really know a character and you do like 5 or 6, 10 lines at a time, then there's a break while the director and the engineer mess around with it, and in those times you can read a book or play your Nintendo DS like I do. Or, but at the beginning stages, it's always about focusing, what is the director's vocabulary, what do they mean when they say this, that, and the other.
And you need to be able to take direction. A director needs to know that you can change, that you can alter subtle things about your performance. Let's say, for instance, you've got a very strong image in your mind of a character that you want to play or that you could play well, and you go into audition and you nail that character exactly the way you wanted to, but the director wants something a little different. The director needs to know that you can make those adjustments, that he's not going to have to, pull a performance out of you and spend 3 times as long making these changes, and so flexibility and being able to alter things a little bit when a director needs you to is very good. I'm sorry we took so long, but that's really a great question.
Yeah, we don't get asked that question a lot, so that's why this is like 30 minutes of us doing it, and I'm not even done. Because of what you just said, when you watch, this is just one example, but when you watch Heroic Age, Vic's character in that was something that you auditioned for, but he auditions from far away and sends us those tapes, so it's not like he's right there and we can make those adjustments. And we actually didn't hear that, what you did, in the audition. I just knew when Joel and I were talking about it, he was like, well, can he get to this point? And I was like, absolutely, he just has to see the character.
and he will know immediately what you want. But that's an example of a director trusting in an actor and knowing an actor, working with them long enough that I know Vic knows how to get there. He just hasn't seen what the character is like yet. So you build up that relationship, which is why you see the same people in our shows a lot, because we know where they can go. Okay, I'm done.
And now we have a lot more questions. How do you think we spawned a new race of questions? You think somebody can? Sure, go ahead.
Back and forth. Christine.
What's all yours favorite part in Oron?
Favorite part in Oron? That is too hard to ask the director of the show. Yeah, it'll come back on. Just keep talking.
Eventually it turns back on, or just use the other one. Hello? Hello.
Yeah, it's back on? No,
It still doesn't work.
Hello. This takes a while. I'm always asked this question, and I think my answer is different every time. Do you have a favorite?
I have several favorites. I love the episode when Tamaki met Kyoya toward the end of the series, and I just love that. I love the whole flipping out over the katatsu table and you know, show me this and let's go to the he's such a nutcase, and I love the character. There's too many, you know, it's like when people ask you what's your favorite role. You've been doing this long enough, it's impossible to pick one because you know something about so many.
I really
I think it's bit the dust, this microphone. It's hard, not just playing Haruhi, but being the director of the show, being in love with it for about 2 years before we finally got to even begin work on it. But moments that stand out a lot of the things that Lucy Christian would say as Honey were just pure gold on the first take. Like, I'm the Wolfman! And, what's the other one? And he's half Japanese! That was awesome.
And the first one. I'm sorry, I just woke up. Or something like
her lines are brilliant, but I really like this one in episode 22, I think it is. They're dressing up Casanoda, and they put these ears on it. Wait for it, a cat monster. Like, it's just so, oh, we're falling on the floor. It was so funny. And then, as Haruhi, I always pick a different moment, but I really enjoy the one where Haruhi tells off Kyoya's dad in episode 25 or 6. Because I love Kyoya personally, but it's just such a great moment. She's so brave. She'll just do anything and say what's on her mind. She doesn't care if you're rich. She doesn't care. She doesn't like the fact that, you know, Kyoya's dad treats him that way. She wants him to know it. So I love that part.
I've only seen the parts I'm in, so
She's awesome.
I like those parts.
Question?
Before you guys take it, do you ever like watch the Japanese version?
Absolutely, yeah. As a producer, I watch all of the episodes that my directors are going to be doing. As a director, I watch all of the episodes that I'm going to be directing. And as an actor, I don't know a single director at Funimation who doesn't show you a scene in Japanese before you record it. So yeah.
Yeah, we see it before we record it, as we're recording.
As we're recording.
We don't,
the day you come
people
in.
don't send us like, you know, here's a VHS, watch this series and become familiar with it.
VHS, seriously?
So
The only time I've ever had that is the very first show I did with the large role was Spiral. And that's pretty much what she sounded like, yeah. Time for Hannah's Useful News Report. And I do remember Chris Bevins giving me VHS tapes because he knew that I was still fairly new. And so I had the paper script in my hand. And this is very, very uncommon, but she was a big part, and up until then I'd just been, you know, random little characters here and there. But we only did that for all of 2 or 3 episodes, and it's just kind of your